All right, welcome back. Of course, Park City is all abuzz with Slam Dance as well as Sundance. A lot going on in town, and I don't know of three people who probably know Park City better than even myself. We're going to be talking about the film Waiting for Mamu. We're here with Thomas Morgan, Angela Bernhard Thomas, and Morgan Spurlock. How's everyone doing?
Great.
Hanging in there?
Good. Thank you.
All right, well, let's talk about the project a little bit. Set us up. What are we expecting to see out of you this time?
Pushpa Basnet I met back a couple of summers ago, and she told me this incredible story about children in Nepal. If their parent goes to prison and they don't have a legal guardian, the children go to prison with them and sit on the prison floors until their parents are released. And I said, well, I have to do this. I have to do this story. And I couldn't believe what she was telling me. I thought I was losing something in translation. Mm-hmm. And then the more we talked, the more I realized what was really going on. And so I took the story, the idea, and I asked Morgan, I said, what do you think of this story? And he was like, you have to do this, you have to do this story. And so a couple of weeks later, I'm in Nepal with no money and really, just a heart full of hope.
You thought this improved, didn't you?
Yeah. Well, just like all of our projects, right? I'm a documentary filmmaker. You just start and hope for the best. And so, and I just saw this unbelievable story of this woman's compassion and her love for these children and her commitment to taking them out of the prisons, legally adopting now nearly 200 kids that have come through her organization, gone back to families, and 50 kids living with her at a time. And it was such an easy story to tell, and the story is really through the eyes of these kids, telling about the hope that they have now because of the lives that they live and their new mom, their Mamu. So, right. And then we were fortunate in that Pushpa went on to win the 2012 CNN Hero of the Year, and so now, really our goal now, all of this seems trivial if we can't help her build a home, a permanent home for these kids. She's been asked to leave this home 5 times in 7 years, to vacate the houses that they rent, because once they find out these are prison children, there's a stigma about that. And so our goal really with the film is to bring awareness to this and to help her find a permanent residence.
It's interesting how, as you mentioned, the premise was so unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, you thought you'd lost something in translation, but it sounds like the actual story becomes even more unbelievable when you talk about Mamu and that one human being could have such an effect in a place where it seems like effect is so hard to create. Does that make sense?
Yeah, completely. And when Thomas first told me about it, I mean, I was blown away. I was like, just the vision of kids having to be in prison with their parents was, I mean, you're shocked.
Well, from an American standpoint, we just can't conceive
You can't even conceive it. You can't even think about it. Like the idea of suddenly you're sending a kid to Sing Sing with mom or dad in the States is unheard of. And this woman, Pushpa, she's so fantastically selfless, and the time, the effort that she gives to these kids is amazing.
Well, and they're not. It's not that they're trying to punish the children. They just simply don't have the.
They don't have the wherewithal to. The children have nowhere to go.
Well, and the idea behind it, is a pure great idea. It's like, of course they should stay with their mother. Of course they should stay with their father. But they're in prison. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. I mean, why not home confinement or something like that?
Exactly. And until you see these little girls in a male prison, 50 men, and you realize that the reason that their father is there because he killed their mother. There's one story where this little boy tells a story of his father killed his mother and chopped her up in little pieces, and he's in the prison with his sister sitting over there. The only person he knows is the person he's most afraid of.
So the children are dealing with the crime itself, but then they're dealing with the aftermath of it in very real, stark, and painful terms.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also, too, in Nepal, it's not customary for Pushpa to take care of children outside of her caste system. So there's also still that kind of stigma going on with that. But I mean, it's a remarkable achievement just in itself that she started doing this at 21 years old.
Yeah.
Well, and that's an excellent point, because that begs the question: what was the Nepalese or the government reaction to this? I mean, was this something that was easy for her to do? Did she get a lot of pushback from local authorities or from society itself?
What she talks about in the film, there's one particular, she said, this is my unsuccess story, is what she refers to it as, and where she went and she just couldn't explain to the government what she was trying to do, and they didn't let her have this little girl, and she doesn't know where she went or whatever happened to her. But because she was so young, because she was a woman, and because no one had ever done this, they really didn't take her seriously.
Yeah.
And they really didn't think this was a good idea. And they wondered, are you going to traffic these kids? What are you going to do with these kids? And so as she started and as she kind of got it going, now the government really relies on her and calls her and says, you have to come and help us with this. You have to take these kids, you know. And,
Yeah.
and so
Thanks for
it's
being
this-
successful. You're not done yet.
That's right.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Well, I know that we have a clip, so let's take a look
Okay.
and we'll see what we're talking about here with Waiting for Mamu. Now, besides being such a beautiful part of the world to film,
Yeah.
I mean, I can imagine that as you were going through this process that you probably saw dozens, if not hundreds, of individual stories that would merit its own film. Right, I mean, because each one of these kids and each one of these families probably, you know, you're talking about the
Right.
one with the father and then and everything else. I mean,
Well, and that's how the
was it hard not to like go crazy and want to tell a million stories?
Well, that's how the film kind of all ties together too. Is you hear their story and then you hear how that relates to and the relationship with Pushpa, and so the story of Pushpa's story is really told through these children.
Yeah.
And it's heartbreaking, but at the same time, at the end, you just see what an incredible opportunity she's given to these kids. And even when the kids leave her, she still pays for their school. You know, on and on. And so, and she is truly their mother. You see the individual attention and the love that they have. It's not like an orphanage type situation. It's completely different.
No, you
than
can't
I've
take
ever seen
something
here.
on like that if you feel like you're compelled to. I mean, there's got to be a real altruism and a real caring for the children. I
That's
mean,
right.
What was she doing in real life? What does she do? I mean, what put her in the position to see this problem and take action?
She was going to school. She started college, and when she was trying to figure out what she was going to study, and she read in the brochure that it said, if you study social work, you only have to go to school about 2 days a week. And so that really,
That's why I got a degree
that's
in
why
journalism,
she,
by the way.
One day a week. One day a week for
Could sleep
journalism.
till noon every day.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's why she chose social work. And then, of course, she went to visit a prison during one of her field trips with school, and that was when she got ready to leave, and one of the small children, about 2 years old, grabbed her shawl as she left and just gave her this kind of haunting look. And when she did that, and a big smile, and Pushpa looked at her, and it just spoke to her heart. And when she left, she knew that she had to do something about this situation, and she did it.
Well, and of course, with a group of veteran expert filmmakers and storytellers, I can't think of a better group to tell this story. Really excited to see this. Thanks for coming by. The film
you.
is Waiting for Mamu, playing a slam dance. Morgan, Thomas, Angela, thank you for being here, and we'll be back after this.